Hi, this is Kelly from Books-n-Kisses and Viviana from Enchantress of Books, and we are interviewing the awesome Luke Daniels today for our audio Book Lovin Series. We hope you enjoy our interview. Hi, Luke.
Hi, that was a very good introduction. Thanks for having me.
I've been practicing, like staring at myself in the mirror, but so I'm excited to have you on the blog for this because I absolutely love the Iron Druid Chronicles. And I will have to say that had it not been for your narrating, I may not have ever picked up that series. So one, thank you for being awesome, and thank you for Oberon.
Well, thank you for listening, and I think we have to thank Kevin Hearne for Oberon. I just kind of channeled him, but I appreciate it. That's a lot of How did you find it, if I may ask? How did you come upon it first?
I actually just was scanning Audible for books and was listening, and I can't really remember how I got it, but I just looked at it and I'm like, oh, this is a different genre. And I listened to a sample, and it was a conversation between Atticus and Oberon, and I'm like, this Luke guy knows what he's doing, and I devoured the books so fast that I'm bugged Kevin to write faster.
Right. I've had that happen. Well, thank you. Thanks for that's a lot of listening. He's provided me with some steady work for the past few years.
Yeah,
And more to come, I hope. I mean, we have one more book, I think, in this like series of 9, one or two. I can't even remember because
I
there's
think
all
there's
these novellas, and then there's short stories, and he's really prolific in just a few, like 4 years. I think he started it maybe 4 or 5 years ago,
mm-hmm.
um, which really makes it fun. It almost feels like a episodic cartoon or something like that we get to come back to. Every few months I get to rehash those characters and play with them. So it's been the most. I think it's the longest. That and the Heather Graham are probably the longest running series I've done with the most books. I think that Heather Graham has maybe a few more actual ones because she would do like I think I've done like 16 or something of those. It's the Crew of Hunters series. It's a paranormal romance investigating series that's fun too. So yeah, I've had fun narrating those, and they've gotten a great response. I mean, the people uh, that listen to IDC, I feel like that's kind of my people too. The people that kind of contact me and who I talk to have the same sense of humor, into the same kind of things. It's nice to see we have a common base of interest. And I think that comes from Kevin too, kind of in his pop references and everything he pulls together. It's very mainstream, but also subversive, which is fun to play, and I think people like. So
Yeah.
there's my speech.
So one of the things that we always want to know is like how the author-narrator relationship works. And I know that when I talked to Kevin last year, he was in Oregon for a book signing, and I talked to him, and he said that you two had not really talked until you were multiple books into the series. Is that
That's what's
normal? I mean,
He
do
just
you?
claimed that. That way, if I do anything, he can be like, "I didn't. That wasn't me. That was totally."
And you know what? Honestly, I can see Kevin doing that. I've,
Yeah.
I've, I've had the pleasure of meeting him twice, and he's just as funny as his books are. Um,
I've yet
but
to meet him in person. I think there's a restraining order. I'm not allowed within 200 leagues. Yeah, he's weird. Leagues.
I have
Not
to
allowed
look
within.
that up.
No, so the first 3 books, the very first, Hounded, Hexed, and Hammered, he did, and we didn't have much contact because, like, even just a few years ago, you didn't really contact authors. Some, but for the most part, that's changing now. I feel like now we're much more um, open to talking to each other. We always were, but there was more middlemen before. There were more, the publishers were in between, and you didn't have direct contact to the author a lot of times. And you would get things handed down, like casting or whoever would come and say, we talked to the author and he wants the word said this way, or he wants this kind of thing. So you'd get that. But now that's changed with Twitter and just kind of the general social media and accessibility you have. And I also think because now, a few years later, audiobooks are more mainstream, authors are more interested, and they tend to seek it out more, they want to collaborate on it. So we're much more collaborative now. In fact, we just produced the Two Tales. If you look up on Audible, Two Tales, I'm going to plug right now.
It was great, by the way. Yeah.
Just us. So we went through this thing called ACX, and we produced it without a publisher. It was really cool, and so it was independent, and we tried that out for the first time. So I enjoyed doing that, and it was 2 short stories that he had written before, and he was, you know, I can text him, or not text him, but I can email him and say, what do you think about this? But we don't tend to, I think there's a mutual respect, so we don't tend to do a lot of it. He's not real meddlesome. He's very helpful. He definitely, you know, lets me take it and do what I want to do with it. But there is that openness of, if I have a question of like, how do we pronounce this guy again? Or what did I say last time? Or that kind of thing. He's very open to it. Or he'll give me references. Sometimes he did for Owen, his Arc Druid. He gave me the reference from, what's the Irish movie? Now I'm going to totally fail. The Quiet One with John Wayne. And there's a kind of a priest, or this real rabble-rouser Irish guy that he wanted me to look at. And so he does that kind of stuff. So it's fun. We do have a collaboration now. And with more authors, too, especially the independent ones, or the newer ones, or the younger ones starting out, a lot more collaboration through Twitter, and also marketing. So if the book's released, then they'll say something about it, and you'll say something about it. And then, you know, that kind of cross-tweeting. I don't know what the word is for that, the official term, but
you're right.
Yeah, so there's much more of it now. But when we started out, it wasn't. You just got a big stack of papers, and then you would just go through them. And every once in a while, you could say, "This is really confusing. Can we contact the author?" But you'd never hear back. It'd be like 2 weeks or 3 weeks, because they would contact the agent, and the agent would contact the author, and the author would contact the agent. So I've kind of bypassed that now, and I'll look up and see if someone's on Twitter, and then if they are, I just you know, start tweeting to them, and most times they'll tweet back, which is kind of risky, because you don't want to start tweeting to them and then they're like, "I actually hate what you did. That was terrible. I don't want you to. Please leave me alone. You're awful."
That would be bad.
So far, it's worked out okay.
Got it. Viv, do you want to ask the next question?
Sure. So, what is the method to the madness on how you go about selecting how each of the characters are going to sound like?
I don't know if there's much method to my madness. I think it's 90% what the text says. So if you're lucky and you have someone like Kevin, they have somebody that's very, they'll give you the characterization in the text of he was with his southern drawl, or he was a big burly guy with deep gravelly tones, or you look for those kind of things, and that's kind of what your standby is, because you have to use that. And then I'd say that 10% is just impulse. How do I hear it in my head? And then if I'm in a good place, then it's just kind of translating that out loud. Sounds so frou-frou, but it's hard to describe. It is, a lot of it is just kind of how it is in my head, and then it just comes out. I try not to limit it too much. I try to just do. I just spilled coffee. A lot of times it's just that. It's just in the moment. I've always liked that more than a lot of planning and preparing, because I am somebody who wants to plan and prepare everything. So I'll overdo it if I do that. I'll overthink things, and then it'll come off being way too intellectual or too heady, and you lose that kind of gut punch that you want of something that just kind of comes on the spur of the moment.
Okay. So along the lines of the question that Viv just asked, how do you how do you manage to keep track of characters? So like in the Iron Druid Chronicles, obviously you have to remember what Atticus sounds like, because if Atticus doesn't sound like Atticus in book 8 as he did in book 1, I'd probably be upset. Same with like Oberon. But how do you keep track of like the smaller characters, like the Morgan would pop up multiple times, or you know, some of the fairies or the gods or anything like that? Like, how do you keep track of your characters, like for ongoing series? And I guess the same would be true for Heather Graham's series. I know multiple characters pop up frequently throughout her books.
Well, I've often wished that they just recorded us saying them, and then I could just go back and listen to the. I'm sorry. Yeah, no, I go back and listen. That's what I do. I'll go back and listen. I used that same line when I was answering that question when I recorded this without you guys, and I was like, God, this is why you sound like a dick, Luke. Like,
Okay.
Nobody.
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean, you have so many books in so many, you know.
I'll be honest with you. I've made a lot of mistakes. There's been times where I've changed stuff because I've missed it. So you try to be diligent about it. You try to. I know people who are so much better than me that take copious notes and catalog and have voice reference catalogs where they can go into their computer and type the name and the voice pops up, and like that's amazing. I think those people deserve a lot of credit. I have trouble with being organized in that way, and just because of the output that I do, it's hard to do that. So it's easier in a book like Kevin's because the characters are so big. You've got this Jesus is the guy from the Axe commercial. That kind of sticks in my head, so then I don't really I know, because it's just there's only one way that I would voice that, I guess.
Right.
But I will go back and listen to stuff. If I know I'm doing a series, I'm better about it now of getting the previous book and then skipping through, trying to find all the characters and listening to take notes. But I'm not married to it. I also want to serve the book that I'm reading, and so that may shift a little bit, and that I'm okay with that. But I know that that's hard for listeners. The Oberon's shifted. If you listen to the first 3 books and then you listen to the current books, he's not exactly voiced the same way. I don't narrate the same way. That was like 6 years ago when I first started out. So if you listen to that, my voice has changed. I went through puberty like 2 years ago, so that was a big deal. Shifted things down. I'm still working on it. That's my big joke. My voice still cracks. I mean, it is changing. It's always changing. So if you listen to me in 5 years from now, I won't even sound the same. But as for the characters, you want to keep the continuity, because that's what people invest in, and they do, like, you want to keep the reality that you've created through these characters. So that's direly important. But I think we get all that. So you hear that kind of stuff all the time. So I think it's important also to note that these things are fluid and they do change. And if you think about it, the characters should change. The first book of Iron Druid to now, it's been, I think, 12 to 15 years. So if you think about a dog at the first, and then 12 years later, they're very different. Their personalities are different. So that should reflect in the way they talk. And I can rationalize so well. I'm just such a good rationalist. But no, there's that. Or I've gotten nailed before on Heather Graham, where there was a character, I think, that was voiced Irish in one book, and then in another book she was just not Irish, and that was a mistake. And then there was there's another series I did where in the third one I think I changed like the Admiral or whoever a little bit because I wanted to. Because it sounded better in that. And a lot of times I'll go back and listen, and if I don't like how I did it, then I'll change it, because I make mistakes, and there's times where I'll go back and go, that was a little too much. I got to pull that guy back, or it just doesn't feel right, or I don't know. So I'm very true to the novel that I'm reading in the moment, and I still keep a close eye on what I've done before, and always use that as my frame of reference.
That's a good answer, and
I don't know. We'll see.
We like smartasses, so the whole is if we
Oh,
recorded
good,
it,
good.
I deserved it. I deserved that answer.
I waver between smartass and dumbass. Those are my two extremes.
Yeah, that's kind of where I fall in life.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
All right, Viv, you're up.
Got it. Okay. So you were talking about the different keeping track of things, and you were mentioning your keeping true to the moment of the book. So what is exactly your narrating process? Do you read the book first, and how do you go? What is the process that you do when you get the book in front of you to narrate?
You guys are pretty good, I have to say. Let me just say that the questions you're. I feel like I'm with Diane Sawyer right now. Oh no, Diane, I can't answer that, Diane. That's just here. No, I when I started out, I read everything beforehand. I highlighted everything. So if there was a character, I'd be like, okay, she's always going to be the pink highlighter. And if there's a guy, he's always the orange highlighter. And then sometimes, well, this guy, I'm going to make him the pink highlighter. And then I've got, or I've got purple highlight, all these highlighters. And I had this whole system, and I take copious notes. And that's how I learned. I feel like I did that for 3-4 years, and I learned really well. I learned how to read the script, how to take everything out of the text. I learned how they write and set up structure, and I think I learned a lot about novels and how they're formed and what to expect, and I did a lot of different genres too, so I got a good education that way. And then it became impossible to do that just from the amount that I was producing. And I coupled that with, I found that when I would go through a script with a fine-tooth comb, I did not feel like I gave as good a performance as when a lot of it was on the fly. Because when we read a book, a lot of it's on the fly, and sometimes I would put too much thought into it or lead things somewhere that maybe they didn't need to go because I knew where it goes. But in the moment of the scene, the listener or the reader doesn't know. So you don't want to tip your hat. And I'm the type of person that if I know, I think I tend to color things. If I don't know, it's much more easy for me to be in the moment of what's happening in that scene and just the circumstances I'm dealing with of this is happening between him and her, and they're fighting because of what's just happened, and you don't know the future, you're just living that moment. And so a lot of it sounds like actor talk when it comes out, but I really do, there is a balance. So obviously it leads to mistakes where I'll do something and then I'll realize later on, oh, I got to go back and fix that because she's actually from South Africa, and he just didn't mention it until page 85. So now I got to go back and fix all her dialogue. But to me, the risk of that is worth the benefit of not over preparing, and I like cold reading. I've always been good at it. So it's a mixture of cold reading and prep, in that I know who the characters are, I know generally where things are going, but I don't know every word. I kind of discover that in the moment.
I like it.
I'm petting my dog too. If you wonder what I'm doing down here off.
I was going to say something about that. It was your doggy that was there, but thanks for adding that.
Bringing my ukulele over here. That's what this is.
It's your calming mechanism.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is. He's a good boy.
Okay, so when we talk to our authors and we've talked to other narrators and stuff, everybody has like their own little writings, or authors have an author cave. We found out that narrators call it the booth or the box or a medieval torture chamber. I'm not sure what all the names that we've received. What little square do you go into to record your books? Do you work from home? Do you have to go into a studio? Do you go
Both.
sit shower?
It depends. I have a love-hate relationship with it because, again, I sometimes feel a bit trapped in there, and I spend so much time talking into a microphone that then I forget how to talk to real people. Or, this is pathetic, I'm referring to you on a computer. You are real people, but you are on a computer. it's still, that's about as real as it gets for me. Like I'm almost touching. That's a real person right there. They're so close. It's pretty much that and kids. No, so it is a love-hate relationship. It's just the booth. I've always known it as a booth. But there's professional studios that I work at, but predominantly about 90% of the stuff I do is from home. That shifted. I started out working only in professional studios because I didn't have one, and then I saw very clearly that if you want to make it in the industry, you have to have your own booth. You've got to work from home. Everybody, that's the way it's going. That's how pretty much everybody does it. The big books, the big studios, they still use studios, especially when they've got big names and stuff that they bring in, and then they use them in their studios. And there's a company I work for that I can do either. They're close enough that I can go and work at their studio, or I can do their books from home. Just depends if I need to escape the children. So I have a 3x5 studio bricks. You can look it up. It's awesome. I ordered it from Barcelona, and they shipped it over in a big, huge crate, like something from Indiana Jones. And it's not, there's no like screws or anything. Everything clicks together like a big Lego set, and it's really got a good sound. It looks like a kind of a slightly bigger phone booth, but white, and a glass door, and that's about it. And it's got all the sound paneling, and then you set up your mic, and on the inside I have the computer, like the monitor, and a wireless keyboard so that I can run the program that's recording, but everything's outside the booth and then channeled in so that you don't have the sound of the the airplane sound of your computer after 12 hours of being on or whatever. That's all outside of it. So that's it. But it's tough because like I said, I have kids, and the only place we could put it was in the basement. So people have to be quiet still, even though it's a soundproof booth. Low resonant things like children running. Whoever came up with the term "pitter patter of little feet" is full of shit. Don't stomp and run and jump and scream, and I've never heard a kid pitter patter before in my life. So that's always, I've got to work when they're not around or late at night, so that makes it more difficult. But it's nice getting to work from home, and there's something nice about going down and going in there, and I can change things or go back or do things. I kind of craft it a little more. When I go into an actual studio, I bang it out and just do it really fast. So if I do a 300-400 page book in a studio with an engineer and possibly a director, that would probably take me like a day and a half of recording. If I did that at home, it'd probably take me about 4 days of recording, because I'm doing it, engineering it and doing everything myself. What were we talking about?
What? I don't know. I don't even remember. I'm still stuck at pitter patter.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a question that we're asking all of our narrators because, of course, as listeners, we listen to you. You guys read to us, and we listen to you make multiple voices. So, do you get the question? Say it in that voice, and like we asked one, and he said that his wife asked him to speak in a certain person's voice. Now, for me, it would be talk to me as Oberon.
I don't want you to talk in your voice anymore, honey. Can you just stop? You speak in a lower register. Oh my God.
It was actually
my wife wants
for him. It was an accented voice for him too. So not only not his own voice, but it was a Spanish accent on top of everything else. So it's like completely different. Yeah.
No, my wife is pretty much is over the accents. I think there's too much. I mean, it's constant. I can't stop it. That's how I learned. And the kids too. I mean, they know they're always making fun of me for it. But now they do it. So now they're constantly doing voices and accents, and it's almost compulsive in that I do it. When I'm driving, I'm reading signs out loud in different voices or doing that. It's just, I've done it so much that now I can't stop. So yeah, so family, they're pretty much over it. They don't really have any interest, except for the little ones. They do still get a kick out of it when we read books and things like that. But my oldest is now 11. going on 16, and she likes it, but not when other people are around.
Right.
She likes to do it too, but she has to save face, so she thinks it's a little goofy. But and I don't really run into anybody on the street that's like, "Oh my God, you're Luke Daniels!" Like that hasn't happened. So I do have people contact me, which is really sweet, and ask me to do messages to their significant others, and I think that's adorable. And I've had several people do it that'll say, "Me and my husband listen to you doing these books, and we really love it, and it's our 10-year anniversary. Would you record this message in this character's voice to my husband?" And that's super sweet. And I've done it a couple times. It's hard to get the time to actually do it, but they do ask, but then I always wondered too, like, well, where's it, whose property is it, right? Like, I believe it's mine, but at the same time, I'm representing somebody else's character. So like with Oberon, I always feel a little nervous because I still do it, but I always do it with that thought in my head of like, is Kevin gonna like this? Like, is this how he hears Oberon, or is this me doing it? But then I'm like, but it's my voice, so I think there's something there. I think as long as I'm cognizant of that fact that it is somebody else, it came from someone else's mind, so you have to kind of be careful. Like, I can't go out and do the Oberon, porn dub or something like that. I gotta do a little more discretionary stuff. But if it's somebody's significant other, that's if it's sweet things like that, and that, I think it's totally cool. I appreciate that, and it's nice to be asked. I mean, of course, you want somebody to say, "I like what you do. I want to hear more of it." I don't think I've reached that stage yet. Talk to me in 20 years or something when I'm like, screw off. I don't want to. Yeah, But now I'm still tickled by the fact that people like it enough that they want to hear more of it. So
Okay,
that being said, is there something you want?
Well, Viv has never heard the Morgan.
Oh my God.
I know.
I can't know what happened to the Morgan either. We can't really even talk about the Morgan. Are you all caught up?
I am. Viv isn't.
Why don't you, child?
I'm gonna say spoilers. No spoilers. But I love the Morgan. She's such a good character. And,
I love the Morgan.
Yeah. I wish I had text to actually read. That would make it easier. Talking off
Okay. And then just do a little. You can do a little Oberon.
Do a little Oberon?
Yeah.
Hold on. Let me just step over here for a second. Hey, Oberon. Oberon, can you wake up, Oberon? Oberon. Sorry. Hold on.
I got bacon.
Did you hear that? They have bacon. They have bacon. They have bacon for bacon? Yeah, they got bacon for you. Come on. It's okay. Oh, my goodness. Who has bacon for me? Somebody give you bacon? Where is it? Wait a minute. I don't smell bacon. Well, they don't. It's on the computer. You can't really. Why? Well, we were just trying to. I have some lovely fans that'd like to meet. Are you telling me that you lie about bacon? How could you do that to me? Do you know what I was dreaming about? Bacon! And then you woke me up for bacon, and there is no bacon. Oh, it's okay, Oberon. I think I don't know if this is gonna work. I think we upset him. Hold on.
Oh, no.
Can you at least tell the fans that you love them? All right. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. And next time, bring some actual bacon. All right, Oberon. Go
You
back.
got it, Oberon. Oops.
Oh boy.
I love that dog.
But he's changed. Do you want to know? So when he first started out, Oberon was much more like everything was very like this. Everything was he was very excited about all of it and kept panning and everything, which was great for the first couple books because he was a puppy and he was very excited. But then I realized that you didn't really I couldn't keep that up. It was kind of one note, and so I had to kind of take that essence of like he's excited about everything, like he feels everything to the nth degree. So when he's upset, he's at the lowest end of upset, and when he's happy, he's at the happiest. That that those extremes that dogs have, carry that over into a voice that was more fluid, could go different places, and actually kind of embody a little more than just that idea at the beginning of an excited dog that is now onto this, and then it's onto that, and then it has this, and it's always onto the new thing.
I like it.
Awesome. Thanks.
Okay, so this is a really mean question, and I love to ask. So out of the plethora of books that you have narrated, because there's a lot, which has been your favorite? I know, it's like picking which kid you like the best.
No, that's easy. I know which one I like the best.
We won't tell them.
None of them. I haven't had that kid yet. I'm waiting. I'm waiting for the one I like.
Oh.
They're gonna. They won't watch this anyways. They'll be like, "What are you? This is so weird. Why would you?" Anytime I tell them about stuff, they're like, "I did an interview for USA Today, and I got them to put my picture with Taylor Swift, and on the thing, so then I could show them. I was like, look, they just interviewed me, and it's like they talk about me and Taylor Swift. Isn't that cool?" And they're like, "Why are you next to Taylor Swift?" Like that. They were more freaked out than thought that was cool. It didn't work for me. What were we talking about?
Your favorite
Oh, my favorite book.
He's trying to deflect.
I don't know. I definitely, God, that's a hard one. That is a hard one.
I know.
You
can plead the fifth.
Favorite, I just did a book that I really liked that was a very, kind of realistic kitchen sink drama kind of thing about these couples who are having kind of a midlife crisis, and it was just really beautifully written, called Summerlong, that's going to come out probably in a few months. But that one struck me just because it was so, I don't know, it felt like a Mike Nichols film or something. It was very authentic and had a great tone and really good, just small drama between like 4 characters. And I've been doing a lot of space opera stuff, so I think I liked that. So my favorite book is whatever feels new to me. So that's why I like doing all different genres, because I get to feeling if I do one thing for too long, I feel stuck. So if there's something new, like this little thing, I've been doing all these big, great fun, voicing space dragons and space hornets and things like that, and then to get to do something like that was exciting, to change it up. Or before that, I did a big, long, comprehensive thing on investment, which I only took because I was like, I only do, I don't only do, but I do a lot of these other things. I need to keep doing new things so that I don't become too staid or too crusty. I like new. My favorite book I ever did is a new one.
Very diplomatic.
Totally diplomatic.
So we'll ask you in a couple months what your favorite is, and it'll be the new one.
It'll be something else. It's always the new one. I think
that
that's
could be our new thing, Kelly. Our monthly question to Luke: which is your favorite?
Yeah.
And it'll always be the new one.
The new one.
The new one.
The new one. Yeah.
One's green. All green. I'm really trying to come up with an actual answer for you. I want to give you an answer. I do. There's things popping in my head, but then I'm like, that's not my favorite. Don't say that. So I could just throw things out there. Like I really loved, I've done a lot of Philip K. Dick, and there's terrible Philip K. Dick, and there's really good Philip K. Dick, and I've done all of them. And there's always good stuff in them, but some of them he was a little more strung out on stuff than others. Oh God, I hope I don't get in trouble for saying that. His estate's pretty intense. But some of those have been really fun. I don't know. I failed. I don't know.
It's okay.
It's okay.
It'd be like asking a reader what their favorite book is.
Nabokov, I've done some of him. He was really good. And Updike. The good writers, like the ones that just can turn a phrase and you go, oh my God, it like makes your whole insides melt. That are able to present things in a way that touches me or affects me deeply, And that's what's so great about it, because there's so many. That's why it's so hard to come up with a favorite. I can tell you my favorite book. How about that? Not the
Okay.
one that I narrated, but I'll do that. I'll do that as my cop out. When I was 17 or 18 and starting to move out on my own, I got into Kerouac and read On the Road and Dharma Bums, and those two were my kind of influential books that set up a lot of how I view things and see life. So those are my top books that I've read just as a person. But then again, I haven't read a book myself in 5 years, so because there's just no time. It's always other books. I'm lucky that I do books that I would read normally, because then it kind of feels like I am. But I don't. A lot of times, people give me a book for Christmas or something, and it feels like an insult. I'm like, what? You gonna pay me? I don't. What do you want me to do with this? I can't read this. Sorry.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so our last question before we let you go, and it looks like we were successful and baby slept through the whole interview. Is if somebody
that's up. We were up all night last night. That's
Oh.
why. That's why this right here. This is baby eyes.
It looks good. You're looking good. You look good.
Not to be confused with bedroom eyes. These are baby eyes.
So, if somebody has not listened to an audiobook, one, shame on them. But what would you tell them that they're missing, or what, if somebody is like leery about audiobooks, what would you tell them?
Listen to mine. I think that you have to find somebody that you can listen to. It's so, you know what I mean? And you might have to scroll through a few people before you find that. It's hard. That's why I never take it personally if somebody writes a bad review. I mean, I do. That's a total lie. But I try not, because it's so individual. You know what I mean? You listen to somebody and it either clicks or it doesn't. And yes, there's technique, and some people are better than others at doing voices or transitions or pacing or that kind of stuff. That's all true too, but it's the first thing you do is you have to find someone you like listening to. So I think that's why you see people that start to pursue books because of the narrator, because they know, well, if that's something that looks good, at least I know I can listen to this narrator. So as opposed to, well, I really love that author, but I don't know that narrator, it's a little more chancy because you don't know if you're going to like them. So I think it's kind of like once you find something you like, you stick with it because you know what to expect every time. And there's all different types of narrators now, so you really get a good chance to find what suits you best as the consumer, as the listener. And secondary, I think it's such a wonderful medium for storytelling because it is collaborative in an intimate way that nothing else is. It's you and the listener. It's very intimate. It's two people, and you're communing with them in a way where they're taking in what you're saying, and then they're creating that, like you said, those images in their head. And when I do a voice a certain way for a character, in my head that character looks a certain way, but then someone else listening to it hears that voice, and they may have a completely different image in their head of what that looks like, just through their own experiences. And so I think that it's a beautiful, not to put too fine a point on it, it's a very beautiful experience, and potentially has this great scope where you can it's limitless, because a book is limitless. You can go anywhere, you can do anything, unlike a movie or a TV show with restrictions on what you actually see. You can create and paint a visual with words that you can't do anywhere else. And then when you do it change it into spoken word, it takes it to, again, another level and filters it into this, I don't know, it's this kind of elusive, very personal thing. It's personal for the reader because they're putting their own take on it, and then the listener is taking it in and filtering it through their experiences, and it's personal for them. And when you come out of it, it's also 8 hours or 12 hours or 20 hours that you've spent listening to somebody. So you get, inside people's head, literally. Oh, hey, puppy.
Waiting for you to notice him.
I have
this is my inspiration. I was looking over here, drawing inspiration into my
Yeah.
brain,
And
whatever the
I'm
hell.
sitting here going, any minute now he's going to look in the camera and go, puppy!
Puppy.
Well,
What's that? Who's
Luke, I
name?
will have to. Okay, you can go down. Off you go. Shoo, shoo. Luke, I want to say thank you. This is like a little bit of a fangirl moment for me because, like I said, I really, really have enjoyed all the books that I have let you read to me. So I'm hoping that Viv will now go check out the Iron Druid Chronicles, and I am planning on stocking Audible and buying a few more of your audiobooks just because, you know, I can never have too many. And I hope the listeners and the fans of our blog will just go to Audible and just kind of search your name and start listening to clips and just buy the books. Audiobooks.
There's a little bit of something for everybody. If you like romance, or if you like action, or you like, you know, classics, there's something there for everybody. So, and again, if you don't like my voice, there's so thousands of others out there. So don't let that discourage you. You might find somebody that you do really connect with. So keep listening.
Awesome. Well, Luke, it was an honor to talk to you, and I hope you get go take a nap.
Yeah, he's gonna wake up as soon as we're done. Then I'm on duty again.
Yeah.
So, but thank you for having me. It's an honor to be asked, for real, and for you to take the time to do this on your weekend and to put it out there and to even be interested, and then not to mention all the hours of listening. Thank you, and thank everybody else too.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna do it again next year, and we hope that you will join us again.
I'd love to.
Awesome.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, Luke.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.